Oh man, I was called a name on YouTube today. Find out what it is next.
You are Locked On Lions, your daily Detroit Lions podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's good, everybody? Matt Derry with you on a Tuesday edition of Locked On Lions, right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today is Tuesday, August 20th, and Wednesday, August 21st. Lions back in the practice field in Allen Park today. First time in a long time. There were no fans in the stands down at the 222 Rodwood Drive Meyer Performance Center. But a lot to get into today on Locked On Lions. Thanks for making us your first listen. Of course, and checking us out wherever you get your podcasts. That includes Apple and Spotify, YouTube. For those of you that subscribe and watch each and every day on YouTube, thank you for doing so. What about our everydayers that are out there? Shout out to you that check out the show daily. You know who some of you are. Let's talk about David Hale, my boy from U of D Jesuit High School, Michael Spath, Jay Bermudez, Bo DeFrisco, Josh Barker, Eric McComas. Thank you all for checking us out daily. Some of our everydayers here on Locked On Lions. The program today, Locked On Lions on a Tuesday, is brought to you by FanDuel. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. No joke. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started. You can follow us on Twitter at Derry Speaks, at Locked On Lions, Matt Derry Facebook fan page as well. Coming up on the show today, a friend of mine told me about something on YouTube from yesterday's show that I have got to respond to. I know it's one comment. I rarely do this, but it's a bigger picture thing I want to get into coming up momentarily here on Locked On Lions. You know what? I have the wrong thing up here. There we go. I have the wrong graphic up. We just fixed that right there on the show. I noticed that. Got to get into the injury report. Dan Campbell gave some updates on some injured players, guys that have not been around for a few weeks, guys that have been not been around at all, like DJ Reader. Update from Dan Campbell from this morning's press conference coming up momentarily as well here on Locked On Lions. Big day for our favorite guy, Craig Reynolds. Come on, Craig. Big day. And our call of the day on our SpeakPipe voicemail system. If you go to speakpipe.com/Derry podcast page, I will play our call of the day. If you leave a good voicemail, keep it clean, no swearing, everything else. It's been a little bit light the last couple days. Let's get back at it here on the SpeakPipe and hit me up on our voicemail system. All right. So my good friend Michelle hits me up and tells me that, yes, on YouTube, there was a comment. First of all, she said, yeah, the YouTube comments are harsh. Well, that's comment sections. That's what they are. I can take a little bit of heat. I dish it out. I can also take it. But I was called a Jared Goff fanboy. That's a first. I don't think I've ever been called that. But shout out to Brian Welsh, 2810 on the YouTube channel. So this was yesterday's Locked On Lions episode. We had over 5,300 views. Keep that going, everybody on YouTube. Please subscribe, please watch. And Brian Welsh chimed in the comment section in our discussion about Hendon Hooker. If you missed yesterday's show, the one thing I mentioned was Hendon Hooker's playing well. He looks okay. But I'm not going to lather up and go ballistic and tell you he's the next second coming of Steve Young or Michael Vick or Dan Fouts or Matthew Stafford or anybody. He's fine. He's a rookie. He's learning. He looked better than Nate Sudfeld the other day. Maybe Saturday against the Steelers, Hooker lights it up. Maybe. But I just said, let's pump the brakes a little bit. That's all I said. Brian Welsh wrote in. He's one of our commenters, one of our watchers and viewers on YouTube. Quote, put Hooker out there with the ones and give us all a chance to see what he's got. You're such a little Jared Goff fanboy. Not everyone believes that having a 1960s style quarterback is the best option in 2024. Hooker's got talent, and before the end of this year, he'll prove it to everyone. Exclamation point, end quote, from commenter on YouTube, Brian Welsh. First of all, Brian, thank you for watching. Second of all, you're crazy. The guy has one good game in the preseason, and I don't even know why I'm leading with this or giving this that much gusto, but I'm going to do it. All right. Hendon Hooker had a nice game on Saturday in Kansas City against the Chiefs. He had a good game. He looked good. All right. It's the preseason. He's playing against third stringers and fourth stringers and many guys who will not be in the NFL next week. They'll be cut. They'll be gone. They'll be on a practice squad. They'll be in the UFL, the CFL. They might even work in a Taco Bell. All right. Or an insurance agency before it's all over. And trust me, I would never sniff the NFL. I'm not a football player. But Hendon Hooker's time is not now in Detroit. I still cannot believe that there are fans out there that believe that just because Jared Goff doesn't run and isn't mobile and isn't scrambling around like a Patrick Mahomes or a Josh Allen, that he can't compete, that he can't get it done, that he's a 1960s style quarterback. Last I checked, Jared Goff is the same style as Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Eli Manning. These guys have all won Super Bowls. Was Peyton Manning a move the pocket, running quarterback? Elusive? No. What about the GOAT? Tommy Brady? Nope. Wasn't the same. Wasn't like that either. Kirk Cousins just got $40 million a year from the Falcons. Is he going to be running around? No. I don't get it. Why are we still hating on Jared Goff? Sunday night at the Yankees-Tigers game in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, they were chanting Jared Goff. There were Tiger fans there doing the Jared Goff chant. He's really good. He's a top 10 quarterback in this league. But because he's a 1960s style, according to Brian on YouTube, we just got to put Hendon Hooker in because he can run a little bit. Because he's elusive. Because he's 2024. I guess every quarterback should just be able to be like Patrick Mahomes and run. Has anyone seen Hendon Hooker throw like Patrick Mahomes yet? Or Josh Allen? Joe Burrow's pretty standard, stationary type quarterback, is he not? I just don't understand why we're still having this discussion. Justin Fields is unbelievable with his legs. Remember when the Bears beat the Lions a couple years ago and Carlos Monarez or whatever his name is at the Free Press wrote, see, the Lions got to get their Justin Fields. The Bears let him walk. He's fighting for a job in Pittsburgh with geriatric Russie Wilson, whom the Seahawks and Broncos said, please leave. And that's still a quarterback competition in the Berg right now. Under the standard is the standard Mike Tomlin. So do you want Hooker or Justin Fields or anybody that can run? Why don't we just trade for Dorian Thompson-Robinson in Cleveland and bring him here and make him the starter? Because he can run. No one knows if he can throw yet. What are we talking about? Brian, thank you for leaving that message. Thank you for watching the show. But Jared Goff is damn good and got you 30 minutes from a Super Bowl last year. Tremendous first half in San Francisco. He beat Matthew Stafford in the playoffs. He beat Baker Mayfield in the playoffs. Both those guys just got raises. I don't get it. Is anybody else out there in agreement with Brian Welsh? It's time to play Hendon Hooker and that I'm a Jared Goff slappy or fanboy. I was pretty harsh on Jared Goff his first year on this program. I like Jared Goff. I'm not telling you he's the second coming here. He's really good. I'm glad they paid him. He's a great leader. He's a good guy. He's a damn good quarterback. He's very accurate. Completion percentage and his yards and touchdowns have all been near the top the last 2 years. I'm rooting for Hendon Hooker. I hope he starts on Saturday against the Steelers and does a dance. That'd be great. But replacing Jared Goff and calling me a fanboy just because I don't think Hooker's the answer yet, Wowzers, man. Yes, I just said wowzers on the show. All right, coming up next, let's get the injury report. Let's update you on what is going on with this football team from an ailment perspective. We will do that coming up next right here on Locked On Lions. And folks, Locked On Lions today brought to you by FanDuel. You've heard us talk a lot about FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Tigers back at it tonight. You want to put some money down on Guardians, Yankees. You want to look at the win total for the Lions, over under on that 10.5. Whatever. Check out FanDuel. They've got something for everyone there. And they got something a little different for you right now. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. How about that? Then with a YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out of market game. And I just saw something today, YouTube TV and the Sunday Ticket, they're going to do like end zone angles too. All 22, all for you. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon to download America's #1 sportsbook. Back on Locked On Lions, it is a Tuesday edition of the program. Lions will take on the Pittsburgh Steelers Saturday, 1 o'clock down at Ford Field. Charlie Batch is the Steelers TV analyst on the preseason games, the former Lion quarterback, former Eastern Michigan Eagle, still keeps tabs on the Lions. We're going to talk to Chuck Batch tomorrow on this very program here on Locked On Lions, working on some other things for the end of the week. Don't forget Jake Riepma, Locked On Detroit Sports. Check out the postcast after tonight's Tigers game. I didn't even look up. I did a poor job on prepping. I didn't even look up and see who the Tigers were playing. But check out Jake Riepma, Locked On Detroit Sports. He'll have a postcast following Lions Steelers. That show Saturday will also post on our feed. So Jake and I working together. We love that. Don't worry. Sunday Night Football, Lions Rams. After it's over, I'll have a post-game reaction show too. Jake's just goes on live. I go on with my normal show each and every Sunday following the games. So hope that gets rid of some of your confusion. Great to be with you here on this Tuesday edition. Let's get you some of the injury updates. First and foremost, Dan Campbell today was asked about Jahmyr Gibbs. And as Dave Burkett put it in the Free Press today, what's up with his bulky hamstring? Yes, bulky. Campbell said today he expects his star running back and most of the other Lions injured players to be back on the field this coming Sunday following the game against the Steelers on Saturday. I think the Lions are going to practice the next day and at least get some of their injured players back. Gibbs has had this hamstring injury since last week. He's been out about a week. Campbell said today the plan is to, quote, get Gibbs going next week. He's trending the right way, and we're hoping the day after the Pittsburgh game, I think we're going to get a lot of guys back, end quote. That is good news. Lions will play the Steelers Saturday. You're not going to see any of the regulars, of course. Others that Campbell referenced today that should be back to practice Sunday. Sam Laporta, who's been bothered by a hamstring. Kevin Zeitler and Dan Skipper both have ankle injuries. Malcolm Rodriguez has been out for a while. And Dan Campbell said today the Lions hope to activate defensive tackle DJ Reader, who's been suffering from coming back from quad surgery, from the PUP list next week. And he'll likely start off with individual drills, which we like to hear Dan Campbell say. Campbell also said rookie first-round pick Terrion Arnold will not be back from his chest injury until the middle of next week at the earliest. Ennis Rakestraw Jr. and Carlton Davis did practice today. Davis has been bothered by a sore ankle. What is interesting is that in practice today with Terrion Arnold out, the man that was taking first team reps with the first team defense at cornerback opposite of Carlton Davis was Khalil Dorsey. He was out there instead of Rakestraw with the first team or Vildor or any of the others. Amik Robertson is obviously in the slot, but this could be a sign that we know that Khalil Dorsey is 100% making the team. Saturday will be interesting to see the cornerback battle. A guy like Stephen Gilmore has a bounce back game and plays better, because, Lions obviously always going to need depth at corner. They've signed a bunch of different guys. Terrion Arnold not going to be back until the middle of next week. But again, the Lions are going to have 2 weeks between their game on Saturday and then Sunday Night Football, September 8th. So there's going to be some time between the final preseason game and the regular season starting. A week from today at 4 o'clock is cutdown day, August the 27th. I think I'm right with that, at 4 o'clock. So look, DJ Reader, if the Lions go into week 1 without Terrion Arnold and DJ Reader, I'm going to be concerned. I'm going to be real concerned. They need both those guys back. But Arnold right now is suffering from that chest injury. And props to Coach Campbell. Thank you for your transparency. Thank you for your injury updates. Anybody see what Captain Comeback and Captain Wacko Jim Harbaugh is doing out in LA? And by the way, he's going to win with the Chargers. All right, he's a damn good coach. But he's refusing to talk about injuries and says, I'm not a doctor. And yes, they technically don't have to give an injury report until the Wednesday before the first game. So I like that Dan Campbell is telling us, telling the media, telling people, like me, that I can get it out to the listeners. Transparency, baby. Nothing wrong with that. I like that. I think that is great. All right. One big highlight from today where the Lions kind of went with a mini scrimmage. But one big highlight from today, Craig Reynolds, our guy, running back, great dude, had him on the show last year. Come on, Craig. Craig Reynolds busted through the line, outraced the defenders, got to the second level, got to the third level for a 70-yard touchdown today in practice. That's what I'm talking about, 13. A lot of talk about Sione Vaki. Yes, I've heard that other members of the media are starting to use Vaki Town. They really should credit me because I came up with that. But we know Sione Vaki's getting a lot of touches and playing really well. Jamar Jefferson's had a good training camp. Bam Knight is in the mix. But I'm telling you, Craig Reynolds today helped secure a roster spot. He's a damn good special teamer, but today busted through the line for a 70-yard touchdown run. This is as good as a depth. Like, the Lions have a lot of depth at running back. They have a lot of depth at linebacker. Really good depth, I think, on the defensive line. Offensive line, obviously the starters are great. Still concerned a little bit with the backups, although Colby Sorsdahl today, I was told, had a really good day. But the running back room is just stacked with Gibbs and Montgomery and Craig and Knight, Jefferson, Vaki. There's good players there. Very good players. If the Lions were to have to cut a guy like Bam Knight, someone will pick him up right away. He's a good football player. But Craig Reynolds today with a 70-yard touchdown run. You love to see it. Love to see it. So I heard Reynolds had a good day today. Sorsdahl had a good day today. Jamarco Jones, who had the highest grade of any Lion offensive player, the backup guard, I guess, struggled a little bit today as well. And yes, I will mention it. Jamison Williams, couple of drops, also a couple of great plays. So we had an up and down J-Mo today. I'm sure the YouTube commenters, you'll have a field day with this one-liner when I post the pod later. But I'm happy for Craig Reynolds. Craig Reynolds just does whatever the coaches tell him to do. He wants to be on the field so bad, he'll run out on the field, and even when he's not supposed to. Remember last year in the playoff game, he had the 1-yard touchdown run? He wasn't even supposed to be out there. But such a good dude. So we're rooting for Craig Reynolds, and he had a big touchdown run today in practice. All right, coming up next, call of the day. One of our everydayers checking in, and he had a very interesting question. We will get to that coming up here on a Tuesday edition of Locked On Lions. Charlie Batch, former Lions quarterback, will join us tomorrow. Hey, thanks for making Locked On Lions your first listen today. Oh, man, there we go. Thanks for making Locked On Lions your first listen today. For your second listen, enjoy the Locked On Fantasy Football Podcast. Get daily insight to the best fantasy draft strategies so you can win your league this season. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Matt Derry back with you. It is Locked On Lions, a Tuesday edition. We, as you know, do our call of the day. We don't do it every day, but once in a while we hit up our voicemail system. It is called SpeakPipe. If you go to SpeakPipe, PIPE.com/Dairy Podcast page, that's SpeakPipe.com/Dairy Podcast page. You too can leave a voicemail message about anything that is Lions related. We always ask that you keep them clean. We appreciate you checking it all out and participating and being a part of the show. Today, Scott is our call of the day. Let's listen to what Scott has to say about the Lions. Appreciate him being our call of the day.
Hey, Matt, this is Scott Brayfogle here in Iowa. Quick correction, it is Parker Hesse. I know that because I have a Detroit Lions shirt, when they drafted Campbell and Laporta, and now Parker Hesse makes another Lion on the team. Anyways, I guess my question is, out of the top Lions players, Penei Sewell, Jared Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Aiden Hutchinson, Frank Ragnow, I'd say those are my top five. Outside of those guys, who's that next guy that you think the Lions just cannot afford to lose this season? Look forward to hearing your response. Hey, thanks, Matt.
Thank you, Scott Brayfogle from Iowa. And yes, if I butchered Parker Hesse's name, I know Dan Campbell called him Parker Hesse once. I know it's Hesse. He was a guy that I saw in college play. He was a defensive end at Iowa, moved over to the tight end position in the NFL, played for the Falcons for a while. But Scott, thank you for pointing that out. Parker Hesse has a chance to make the roster. That's another Iowa tight end in the NFL, albeit though he played defense in college. Scott, is an interesting question. Who can the Lions least afford to lose? Who's on that next tier after, like he said, Amon-Ra and Sewell and Ragnow and Goff and Hutchinson? Because those guys were all Pro Bowlers last year. And Laporta is really, did he mention Laporta in there? I think Sam Laporta would be up there if he didn't mention him. But I also say Brian Branch. I think Brian Branch has a chance this year to be a Pro Bowl safety. I think Brian Branch, without him on the defense, I think the defense doesn't do as well. And if Aiden Hutchinson were gone, if DJ Reader were gone, if Davenport can't rush the passer, if something happened to Anzalone, who's just a rock as a linebacker for this team and a guy that's kind of all over the place. He really played well last year. But Brian Branch, to me, is at the top of that second tier. I just think number 32 makes a lot of plays. I think is a ball hawk. I think in this secondary can really be special. All right, we know the secondary is already going to be better. It can't get much worse than it was a year ago. But I think Brian Branch is at the top of that second tier. There's a lot of candidates because there's a lot of talent on the roster. This is the first time in a long time. I was on a BetMGM show last night with Nick and Trista talking about the Lions. And it's like, they're talking about what weaknesses are on the team. It's tough to find a weakness. Number 4 receiver. Oh, by the way, Dan Campbell admitted today it's Khalif Raymond is the number 3 receiver. Can we stop talking about Lions need a wide receiver 3? Khalif's 3. J-Mo's 2. St. Brown's 1. Thank you, Dan Campbell. But there's just so much talent on the team. So you could say, is Laporta on the part of that next wave? Who could they least afford to lose? Kirby Joseph is a guy that is very important to this team. I mentioned Reader. What about Aleem McNeil? What if Reader's not ready for the opener and McNeil gets hurt in week 1? What do the D tackles look like without Aleem? Taylor Decker is key. Who's the backup left tackle right now if something happened to Decker in practice or in the opener? There's a lot of players that they could least afford to lose. But to answer Scott's question, I still think it's Brian Branch. I just think he's that good, that solid. I think he has a chance to be special. And I think he has a chance to really shut down the opposition's passing game, especially over the middle, deep. And he comes up and makes plays in the run game too, from a tackling perspective. So I love Brian Branch. I'm a huge Brian Branch fan. By the way, have any of you noticed that I have not reached for the list in a while? Haven't had to reach for that kicker list in a while. I think Jake Bates is the guy. Missed one field goal today in practice, made all the rest. But we're sitting here on August 20th, and they still only have one kicker. Now, again, a week from today, teams will cut down their rosters. Teams that have two kickers or have kicking competition going on are going to have to settle that. Maybe then the Lions pluck one away, put them on the practice squad. Who knows? But as of right now, we haven't had to reach for the list in a while. Exciting on Saturday because, yes, it's the preseason finale and fake games will be over. But there's something about when those white uniforms with the yellow pants and the black helmets come to town. The Pittsburgh Steelers are a classic. That's a classic look, and it's a classic, old school, what's the word I'm looking for? Blue blood NFL team, an organization, the Pittsburgh Steelers. They are coming in on Saturday. The great Charlie Batch, former Lion, former Steeler, who now does the Pittsburgh Steelers TV analyst work in the preseason, and he's going to join us tomorrow on this very program. So thanks for making us your first listen, checking us out wherever you get your podcast. Please tell your friends about us. Subscribe on YouTube. We are back again tomorrow with the Charlie Batch, talk a little Lions and Steelers.